All right. Thanks all everyone for being here. We're going to get started. So this is the October meeting. It's kind of like catch our breath from the start of school and gear up for several other things that are really coming at us pretty quickly. So I'm going to take us through some things today that we want to make sure we take a look at, but that we'll continue to talk about this for some time now. So I'm going to be getting this, hopefully. Let's see. All right, let's get rolling on this. So today, what we're going to do, first of all, I'm assuming everybody can see this. I just changed the slide to the agenda. Pop on the microphone if you can't, because I am just looking at the screen itself. So the agenda for today, we're going to, again, just touch base and make sure you know how to get a hold of us and the team that's supporting you. But we're going to talk about the climate survey. We're going to talk about access test preparations. Ryan, I appreciate you being here. There's going to be a tidbit of information more than we had on Monday. We'll review what's going on with advanced placement, registration, talking about Dane County Youth Assessment and the importance of that particular survey coming up in January, February, March. And then finally, we're going to spend time on the ACT specifically, but also we'll be looking at the pre-ACT secure. Finally, we'll be definitely talking about what questions we have. So let's dive in. Keep in mind that the people that are on the assessment team, myself, Sarah Wallner, and Jamie Anderson, who is new to the team this year, please make sure that if you have questions, you get it to any of us. We'll go through a couple different pieces in this presentation. Stacy Will is from Student Services, so anything with accommodations is on her in her area of expertise, and Ben Kolash, who is on multilingual programs. So anything with English learners, etc., is his forte. All right, once again, our website, you can get through by mmsd.org/assessments. We're building things out. So for instance, the access test website is now being updated slowly but surely, and I'll continue to add to that as well as to other pages as we get closer to each of those assessments. But how-to documents are there or will soon be there. And then a reminder that the Access Coordinator page is where we put things like the slide deck from today, the recording from today, and the agenda from today. Again, a way of getting a hold of multiple people at once, especially if this particular case, if you're looking at an issue with WIDA screener or with access testing, and we'll again remind everyone of this next month, is by using the email widascreener@, and it goes to the three of us. And if we don't know the answer, we will certainly find the answer for you. So just kind of, again, reiterating some of the resources. And finally, we tend to be lonely on Monday afternoon, so we're inviting all of our friends. Please show up if you have questions at our office hours from 2 to 3. And it's a Google Meet link. It is here in the slide deck. It is also in the agenda at the bottom. So that is also something that you can be there. And again, if one person needs to be gone, we typically are, but we're always in touch via chat. So if a team member is there, they know how to get a hold of us. All right, currently active, what's going on? Well, we know that the climate survey is out and alive in schools right now. The climate survey in the fall is for students and staff. Families will be included in this in the spring. So the completion rates for schools are recalculated every morning at 9 a.m. So if you want to know where your school is at, I can get that information to you. It has been emailed to principals every Friday morning so far. Bill, got a question?
Yeah, we are planning on doing a rollout to giving students time to do it Monday, October 30th during our homeroom time. Mm-hmm. I had some other staff that was wondering if we could get emails resent to everyone. Is that something that's possible, or or that we just have to have them search for the old email?
I have no idea, but I will find out for you.
Okay.
I believe, no, I mean, I can't promise anything, um, but I will check and see if that can be done for East High School.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Jamie, if you could jot that down, I'd appreciate it so that we can take care of that because I don't have anything to write with right now. The survey was delivered via email. There was an email about that ahead of time saying, please keep in mind that this particular email address or this subject line is not spam and it's not phishing. So that was out there. Okay, West 2, we'll get both East and West. There are reminders once a week, I believe, for that the team that's building out the survey, and it does send reminders on a regular basis. So please keep in mind that there are, if a student hasn't taken it yet, there's been reminder emails. I'll just make sure that we get that sent prior to the 30th, Bill, for your school. And actually, it'll be going out at all the schools. There are cases in which a student or a staff member did not receive the survey. And we have literally, I think there were only 80 students and staff members that it bounced back from, but that's 80 district-wide. So if someone says, I didn't get it, I've looked in the spam folder, I can't find it, let me know, email myself, and we'll get this forwarded to the team that can do that and take care of it. So we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to take the survey. Currently, I believe high schools in general are a little bit above 20% completion. The goal is 80%, so we have a little ways to go. And the importance of this survey is that this is a baseline for us as we move through the year. Now, we can look back over last year, again, for the 2 surveys that we did last year, but it is also a kind of a baseline for this year for the school improvement process that we're all involved with. So please keep in mind that the survey is important and that we want to have every student have the opportunity to take that survey. All right, let's move on. So in the distance, but not as much of a distance as it was last month, we have access testing. Access testing is a legal requirement and a right of all English learners in the district to see their progress on learning English, learning the language. And so we need to take this seriously. We have done a great job over time. I want us to continue to do this, but it is a heavy lift, and I realize that. And I am working with schools to figure out how to do this. Ryan, I appreciate your help and support and your questions as well. So we'll make this better. It may not happen this year, but we will make it better. One of the things that is required every year is that those who are administering the access assessment, both the access and the alternate access for those students with IEPs that require this, is that you have to go through certification training. That certification training is found on the weda.wisc.edu website. Many of the people in our schools have already been certified over the past few years, but there's always new people to be added to that. You need to have a login set up. So if a staff member does not have access to that, again, email requesting access to WEDA screener at Madison, etc. Also, there's a link in the slide deck. I think there's also one in the notes that, or the agenda about this particular document that you see highlighted here. The document is actually, Sarah has gone through and said, these are the critical pieces for you as far as certification. We've checked it. We've worked with our staff with Ben and his team in multilingual programs. We've gone through. So there are 5 main modules, but really 3 are required, and then the certification quiz. And so this document lets people know where to focus their time and energy. Even though they're only supposed to do 3 and then the quiz, it still is about 30 to 45 minutes worth of time. If you have already done this many times, you can skip the modules and go right to the certification quiz. You have to get 8 out of 10 in order to pass that. So if you don't, you can go back to the modules and learn anew. And yes, I did pass, and I will tell you that I got 80%. So, all right, more about access. Here's the timeline that we're going to be getting out to coordinators. AMS is the platform in which this is working behind the scenes for our students. Our students use Chromebooks, and they log in through something called DRC Insight. It's an app. It's kept up to date. But for those who are coordinators and who are teachers, you may want to have access to this platform called AMS. We will be giving coordinators access to this by the end of next week. Students with accommodations. One of the things we want to check on every year is, first of all, creating a list. We pull that from Oasis on or about the 25th. We don't want to do this too soon so that students are not, things haven't changed. We're trying to get this as close as possible. But what we want to do is we're going to, Sarah, when I say we, I mean Sarah is doing this. She's going to create a spreadsheet in which it will have, we'll be sending it out to the coordinators and say, please review this. These are the students that are expected to test. These subset of students have an IEP. And we're not asking coordinators, and we'll talk about this next month as well. We're not asking coordinators to go through line item by line item, checking against every student's IEP. What we're looking for are gaps. For instance, the student has an open IEP. Well, that means it's in progress, and we need to double check to make sure that that gets closed and that we're closing the loop on this particular piece. So that will be coming also by the end of October. All of that goes back when we get this from you, which we want to have the responses to that particular document by the 8th of November. So that's a Wednesday. You'll have a little more than a week to complete that, because now what happens is we take that information, and all that information is uploaded into AMS and double checked as we go through it. Individual students are changed, etc. So that happens before we can print tickets. Now, the tickets, like any other assessment, will be paper-based. Any other assessment from DRC, they'll be paper-based, and we'll get those out to you the week after Thanksgiving at the latest. Physical materials, which you should probably not have very much, but it will come to the schools on or around the 30th of November, and the test window opens on Monday, December 4th. So it's kind of a whirlwind as we're gearing up for this. Please keep in mind that the student information that we share with you, or that is in the platform, actually comes from a data pull that DPI does based on what's in IC. So if it's correct in IC, it should be correct in AMS. If there are changes, we have the ability to go in and change that. So if things come up like a misspelling of a student's name, that will have also been something in IC that we will need to correct. So just want to let you know that that is coming up, and I'll be sharing that with the assessment, the access coordinators, especially those who are not here today. I'll share that in an email with all of them. Finally, just a reminder, as you start thinking about doing any online testing, we'll remind you of this many times over. But when Chromebooks are used, oftentimes students are done for the day or done for a class. They simply close the lid and it appears to shut off. It goes to sleep is what it does. It is not restarting when they reopen it. Restarting a Chromebook actually updates all the software and everything that's on that Chromebook. So especially over the summer, when you get back, Chromebooks have not been updated. They typically go through a process multiple times of updating. The Chrome OS version is at least 114, OS 114. I believe I heard about version 118 already, and Chrome, Google updates their operating system very often. So it's actually something that we need to continue to update. And so as we get closer and closer to access testing and to any other online testing, we'll be reminding you that you need to actually have students restart their machines, because that's the key point to actually getting them to be updated. So just a brief overview of some of the things to start thinking about, some of the things to start planning regarding access testing in December. That window will go from December 4th through the 26th of January. So as you know, right when we're getting down to the end of semester one, we're trying to also close up what happens for access testing, getting all our students to test. Okay, I'm going to move into an update regarding advanced placement. So Sarah, if I misspeak at all, please jump in. Right now, the registration window is open, and that closes on a Sunday evening at 11:59 p.m. So if students have not begun registering, they need to do so. The time is getting short for that. So just so you know, that is the case. Now, if a student has an AP course in the spring semester only, for instance, oftentimes it's macro or microeconomics, there will be a window in February in which we will have them they'll be able to register for that particular course. After the 22nd, we're going to be working through some registration processes, but it also means that if a student says, oh, guess what, I want to take it, it now is a $40 late fee on top of the $125 for a regular exam. So it gets pretty pricey. I do want to let you know that there's been some things that we've gotten a couple emails, and I just want to share this out. The emails have said, we heard on Facebook that there's some information about the African American Studies pilot. So here is what we got from the Advanced Placement or the College Board. This is a pilot. Keep in mind, this is year 2 of the pilot. So will there be an exam? Yes, there will be an exam. Do students have to pay for it? That is an option, but all students will be testing and they will be doing this online. Will those credits be, if they earn a 3, 4, or 5, will they be eligible for credits at every college and university? And the answer is maybe. Just like any other AP course, there's not a guarantee that every college or university in the United States will accept those. So it is right now, there are over 250, I believe, colleges and universities that have said, yes, they will accept the African American Studies pilot exam. And the College Board has said, if you pay for the exam and you take it and your college does not accept it, they will reimburse you the money, or you will not be charged for that. So you will get your money back. So students in AP African American Studies should be signing up for the exam to be taken in the spring. Sarah, I'm going to just pause and say, did I get that right?
Yes, I think so. I just want to clarify for anyone who might be unfamiliar with the African American Studies pilot, only 2 of our high schools are piloting it right now. So the exam is only open to students who are in the course at those 2 schools. So just a small clarification on that piece. So the African American teachers or studies teachers have been looped in on all the things that Tim has mentioned as well. But yeah, I think otherwise it's pretty clear. I just sent out updated registration files to all of the schools. So if there's questions, please let me know. We very frequently see that last weekend is a huge registration weekend. So I fully expect that by this coming Monday, we're going to have a much larger file. But please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions you might have in the meantime.
Yes, thank you. And it just suddenly dawned on me that October 22nd is this Sunday. So yes, this is the big push. All right, Let's move on. Dane County Youth Assessment. The Dane County Youth Assessment is given once every 3 years. And it is a really critically important assessment that gathers information about a variety of topics. It is for grades 7 through 12. And this has been a long-running assessment survey that's been given since the early 1980s. So it's been a long time. So there's a lot of longitudinal data that comes from it. The window this coming year will be from late January through early March. As we get closer next month, I'll give you some more specifics. We're trying to time this so that it is not something that is going to interfere with access testing and with the ACT. So think early February is probably the window that is going to be. There will be other things going on, I know that, but we'll talk in a moment about this particular survey. You benefit, your students benefit, your school as well as the district benefits from this in a lot of different ways. This survey, the data that comes from it, is used to help provide support for students in all kinds of different situations, whether it happens to be food insecurity, if it happens to be health issues, if it happens to be gender sexuality issues. These kinds of things are asked on the survey, and there is a response to that. This year, this past year, the district and your school, in many cases, it's your school, has been a beneficiary of $1.1 million in grants because of this survey. So yes, I know it's an imposition. It's going to take about 30 minutes to actually give. However, it does benefit you and your students especially. So when we get closer to this, we'll get more information to you about the survey. We'll get more information about how it has affected every building, because it is really an important piece.
Hey, Tim, can I ask real quick?
Yep.
Is that the one that is 2 to 3 classes that are surveyed, or is this all grade levels, all kids?
This will be, we used to do this in a stratified survey method, and we no longer do that. So this will be open to all students, not just a couple classes. We'll have to talk about strategies as to, and I'm open to ideas as to saying, here would be the classes that it makes sense to be giving that in. Because I know that, for instance, your English language arts classes are hit often with surveys and tests, etc. So let's be thinking about other places to give this. So, all right. So today, main topic, we're moving closer to the ACT window. Again, the single date that we're looking at for the 11th grade only is March 10th, March 12th, which is a Tuesday. And we are still taking a look at that as being an online assessment. And I know that there is concerns. We are going to be working at addressing them as more information becomes available, already working with tech services. And I realize the concerns that are out there about this. It uses the same platform as we used last year in the pre-ACT Secure, which is now more stable than it was because there are more people using it all the time. The updates that I have for you right now is that your rights to view different things, to do different things within ACT and the online success platform may have changed. They've literally turned off access for everyone except for me. And I've gone back in and turned that on for, I believe, everyone in this meeting. But if not, please make sure you email me saying, hey, I thought I had this kind of access. And I'm getting that cleared up. So you have to get your permissions re-permitted, so to speak. And if you got someone in a new, I know Bill is new, and they're, if you should have access to this, but we'll go through that on an individual basis if needed. The success site is where you can find a lot of data. And so this is actually where you can find assessment manuals. You can find data from prior years for the ACT. A lot of different pieces will be in here later on. If you have to order any material for the ACT, for instance, you need large print, that will be part of this. Getting somebody the TAA access comes through this particular success site. So we'll continue to work on this and continue to get more information to you. So speaking of TAA and accommodations, the accommodation window is open right now. So staff can actually start getting the application process in for students who have an IEP and need to have accommodations for the ACT, as well as students who are English learners. Again, remember that there are supports that need to be addressed by ACT. As the window closes in late January, you'll notice that, again, late January happens to be a test time or a time of high stress because we've got several things going on. So from mid-January on, I'd like to see if we can avoid, I'll get the specific date out to you, but I'd like to see if we can avoid a big rush. So just letting you know that this process, the accommodation process, is open right now, and linked in the slide deck is a user guide for the TAA portal and how do you use that, especially if you have someone new to that process. So keep in mind that we should actually be thinking right now about the ACT. And I know that's hard to believe, but your staff will be thankful that you can kind of just chip away at it rather than have a big flood of IEPs and of students to add to the TAA portal in January. Coming up, you all should have the test coordinators for each building should have received an email on October 16th at about noon. If you did not, I will forward you my copy. Just let me know. In that are links to multiple webinars that are put on by ACT, oftentimes in conjunction with DPI. These are Wisconsin-specific webinars. You do not have to attend these. I do, and I pull things from them and share them with you in these meetings. However, if you want the whole story, because I'm going to give you the abridged version, you can go to each one of these webinars. So for instance, on the 25th of October, next week at 10 a.m., there's a whole webinar from 10 to 11 that is dedicated to accommodations and the TAA process. So they'll go through the process, they'll go through some slides, they'll address some issues. Yes, Katie, I will get that email to you. They will go through all kinds of stuff, and then they will open it up for questions. If you have been doing this a long time, some of the questions are, I'm just going to say, fundamentally basic, which are fine because there's a lot of new people to this whole process. And so this is an opportunity, especially if you're in a smaller district where you don't have peers who've done this and you can kind of go to. That's where you ask them. But they're good questions. They are something that are important to be thinking about as we move forward. Test administration part 1 in November, the online readiness training in January. I know that's probably way too close to our actual March date. Ben's question is, would I recommend going to that? I am going to say yes. But as we get closer, I'll clarify exactly what that is and what that means. So in the email, I'm also going to be talking with the state ACT representative, Dan Valentine, about this, what it is that's there. And we'll see if it can be recorded. which might be something that is of value to you at that point. Finally, the test administration part 2 takes place on the 14th of February. There are also office hours scattered through this process. Please hang on just a moment. Somebody is actually knocking at the door. So I'm going to turn off my microphone. Sorry about that. So their office hours that they have are just open for questions on several dates that will also be in that email. There's a frequently asked questions webpage. You'll find that linked here. There is a website specifically devoted to Wisconsin ACT questions, and we will be sharing that more information with you as we go forward. Finally.
Hey, Tim, can I
Yes.
jump in on a second?
Yep.
And I apologize. I just took a phone call. So if you address this question, I am so sorry. it's a little crazy over here today. Ben is wondering whether you would recommend anyone attend the online readiness training. And I think what he's saying here about it being geared towards tech support, if I had to guess, I would say that that's probably what this one is too. Would you agree?
It might be.
And devices ready and that type of technology piece.
Yes,
Okay.
It might be, and I will. If it's not, I'll get a hold of the recording, and so I can say specifically this time is something that you should be listening to. Okay, we're still not locked in because we've had this change in associate superintendents for secondary schools. I put this forth as the 16th of April for pre-ACT secure, 9th and 10th grade day only, to our cabinet level, and they have not gotten back to me yet. So as soon as they do, I will let you know because I'm pushing on it. We need to get this taken care of. Finally, just opt-outs. Remember that we need to have something in writing. Please send that a digital version to myself or to Jamie Anderson, and we will take care of that because we need to keep track of that for the school board. On the horizon, winter screening. The Achieve 3000 is an optional one, but we'll be sending out information. It actually is much better to do that screening. We have to turn on level set for schools if that is the case. It is an important part of the Achieve platform and actually benefits the students greatly if they do the winter screening. However, it is optional for the district. So we'll talk about that a little bit more next month. And I'm just wondering if we have any questions from you, and I'm going to stop recording at this point.